Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Maseches Avodah Zarah Daf Samach Beis. We begin a brand new perek. Says the Mishnah, so here we speak about actual yain nesach, yain that was poured in front of the idol, was actually used for worship purposes. So it becomes asur min ha-Torah, right? This is in contrast to other types of wines which were tampered with by a guy, touched, etc., where it wasn't necessarily served to the idol. That we call stam yenam, undefined wine, which of course is also asur, right? If today a guy touches your wine, etc., if it's not mavushal, which is unfit for their services, but otherwise it becomes asur to drink, asur to have anah. But that's actually a step down. It's because it's only asur midrabanan, right? The reason why the wines are asur, we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago. The Gemara Taisus talks about it, that there's a concern of chasnus, right? We want you to disengage from the goyim. So drinking their wine might lead to further interaction, social interaction, which might lead to intermarriage. And it is asur completely, bahanoah as well, for concern that it might even be yain nesach, wine with Avodah Zarah components. So that wine is asur to drink, and also bahanoah. One cannot benefit from yain nesach. You can't have any enjoyment. You can't have any anah from it. So what happens if a fellow was hired to produce to work with the yain nesach material, to bottle the yain nesach, to transport the yain nesach? What happens to those wages? Do we consider that to be like having a hana? He's benefiting from the wine itself. Or shall we say, no, I mean, I'm not drinking the wine, I'm not smearing the wine, I'm not using it directly, I'm just working. I'm getting paid for my labor. It so happens to be that I'm working with wine. So which way? Says the Mishnah, so a guy hired a Jewish worker, to work with yain nesach, secharei asur. Those wages earned are asur. Why? We'll see in the Gemara. Now, let's say you just hired him as a general, laborer, paying him, $15 an hour. And so happens to be one of his tasks was to transport some, yain nesach barrels. But it wasn't really, his job wasn't really defined and designated for yain nesach involvement. He hired him for a different job. Even though he told him, even though he actually asked him throughout the day, he says, oh, actually I have another job for you. Please, could you bring the barrels over? In that case, Sechari mutter, it's okay, and the Gemara will explain exactly, what the difference would be between this case and the previous case. Okay, here comes pretty much a duplicate, but instead of a worker, it's actually like a donkey or some sort of, mode of transport. In today's terms, it will be a truck, right? So the guy rents the donkey or the truck, right? For the purpose, for the explicit purpose of transporting with it yain nesach. Then schara asur, you can't. The Jewish renter, the one who rents the thing, cannot accept the payment for this use, because in effect he's benefiting from the yain nesach. However, if the guy hired the donkey for his personal transport to sit on it, so although what the guy comes along is food and drink, including yain nesach, Legina is his flask, his canteen, he placed it on the animal as well, aleha, as he was writing, schara muta, in that case, you can get paid for the rental. Asks the Gemara, why? My time is schari asr. So he was hired to transport yain nesach. Why can't the yid keep his wages? He's not keeping the wine. There's no direct benefit from the wine itself. He's getting paid for his work. Shall we suggest? Since yain nesach is forbidden for hano, schari nami asr, likewise any wages earned through it, that's untrue. How do I know? Let's take a look at other examples of items which are asr bahano. Hari arla, things which grew the first 3 years. Ukalaya kerem. You have kalayim in the vineyard. These things are very asr. Asr bahano, you can't even have enough from these items. And still, we had this discussion a couple of days ago. But now we have a Mishnah. Mechara v'kidesh b'dmein mekudeshes. If one should actually sell an arla apple, he shouldn't be selling it, but he does. He gets paid for it. He takes that money and engages a woman with it. She's mekudeshes. It works. Says Rashi, what does this prove to us? Alma, clearly, we see Isurei Hano, Demain Mutarin. Money received in exchange. This is direct exchange. You can use that money. It's mutar. You shouldn't be doing it, etc. But after the fact, use it to make a purchase. To Mikadosh an Isha, let's say. Tesis actually says Kedushin is unique because it's not really a purchase, it's just a sort of like a formal procedure. You're giving her the money, she becomes. But in any case, the point of the matter is, the money is not asr b'hano. Certainly not min ha-Torah. It's considered your possession. It's yours. Apparently, exchanging is not considered hano. So back to our story. Why can't he keep his wages? Ella rather, hayl v'teifis es damav kavayis kechav. Yain nesach is like a form of Avodah Zarah material. And by Avodah Zarah and by Shemitah fruit, two examples where not only can't you, interact and have anything in exchange, the exchange itself gets sort of affected, gets tainted by the item that it was exchanged for. It's called teifes es damav. The isser, the status, affects the payment received in exchange for this item. So since Avodah Zarah has that attribute, it affects its payment. Basically, if you take an idol, you sell it, that money becomes asr. Rashi brings the pasuk we had about a week ago. It says, "Vayisa cherem kamayu v'hayisa," means to say, "Kol shata mahaya himenu." Anything that was procured through the Avodah Zarah, any money received in exchange, etc., hariyu kamayu has the same status as the Avodah Zarah. So we'll sort of stretch that to the wages as well. Well, it's untrue. It's a stretch. It's untrue because we'll disprove it from Shemitah, varishvius. So you have Shemitah fruit, right? Fruit that grew on the Shemitah year. There's certain rules and regulations that apply to that fruit. It can only be consumed personally. It cannot be used for commercial purposes. You have to eat it before the Zman HaBiur, which is only until as long as this type of produce is still available out in the field for the animals. So you have to eat it koydem Zman HaBiur before it's no longer available. In which case you have to go and get rid of it, send it back out. So the point is, Shemitah has a similar strictness. This is the shvius status of the original fruit affects the exchange as well. So again, we have two exceptions to this rule. A regular item which is asur b'hanoah does not affect its payment, except for Avodah Zarah and Shemitah. Usnan, and still we learn, it only affects the damen, money received in exchange, but not wages, which is totally removed from the item itself. Usnan, we have a Mishnah, right? A person turns to a worker. Do me a favor. It's Shemitah now. I need an apple off the tree. Could you pick me an apple? Hey, look, dinar zeh, take this coin, take this dollar. L'kaitli boy yarakayim. In exchange for the money, pick me an apple. So it's like a sort of a purchase. So he said, boy, this money should be payment for the apple. Then schara asr, that money is asr because it means to say that you can't hold on to it as regular money. It's treated as shvius money, has to be used in a timely manner, an appropriate way. But l'kaitli yarakayim. But if he left out the word boy, it's just the difference of one word. Here, take the dollar and pick an apple for me. So he wasn't paying for the actual apple. He was giving him $1 for his troubles, for his work. Schari mutter, in that case, he can keep the money without any restrictions. So clearly, even by Shemitah, where the money does sort of hop over, the status of the product affects its money. That's only when it's money used to purchase the item. But if it's money used to pay for the fellow's labor in procuring that item, it's okay. The same should apply to Avodah Zarah or Yain Nesach. Why can't this fellow keep his wages? Amar Rav Yechon, you're 100% right. Minatayr, it's mutter, it's a knas. Chacham made a penalty, a knas. Keep far away from anything related to Avodah Zarah, including Yain Nesach. Don't get involved in transporting and anything to do with Yain Nesach. You make money on it, it's forbidden. We find two examples. One is over here, and one is b'chamarin. B'chamarin are the donkey drivers who deliver, grain. We'll see in a minute what this pertains to. And the second case is our story. It would be Yain Nesach. Okay, so Yain Nesach is hadamar, as we just mentioned, right? And explaining the Mishnah why the schar of Yain Nesach labor is asur. What about the other item on the list? Chamarin, mahi. What's that case? The Sani, we have a brisa. So we're going to sort of try to explore it based on a brisa, based on another brisa, and at the end of the day, we're not really going to resolve this because it's not going to be consistent with this statement. It's not going to relate to wages, which are asur. Until we get to the Amud Beis, Rava will actually reconcile it. Okay, so it's going to be quite a journey till we get there. We start with a brisa. Decide. Chamaran, ha-chamaran, shayu oisin malacha pirish shvius. You have these chamaran, these donkey drivers, delivery men, who are transporting shvius produce. Scharan shvius. Their pay becomes shvius. What does that mean? What does that mean? My scharan shvius. Ilema davina lu scharan pei shvius. There's a brisa. Is the brisa allowing us to pay them with shvius produce? So we can pay our bills to the delivery men, to the donkey drivers, to the grain dealers using Shemitah apples? You can't do that. Because then you're employing Shemitah produce in a commercial arrangement. Nimtza it turns out that he's paying up his outstanding debt. He can't pay your bills and be paid or shvius. Torah says, la'achla, it's meant for personal use. But like the you can't use it in a commercial setting as payment for a debt. So that's out. Vela, rather, what does the brisa mean? With the words secharan shvius, vela the kaddish secharan b'kter shvius. It means to say that since these fellows were involved in delivering and dealing with Shemitah produce, so if you pay your bills for this service, for these pay rates, whatever you pay them acquires the status of Shemitah. It can only be spent according to the Shemitah parameters. Why? Because they're taking this pay, they're receiving in exchange for the Shemitah produce that they're giving you. So once again, we have a kash on that. That's untrue. Umi kaddish, really? Does that pay become kaddish? Vatanya. Or Vatanan, there's a Mishnah. That's the Mishnah we had a minute ago. Please do me a favor, get me an apple. Take the $1 and pick me an apple. But he can keep his wages. There's no issue there. It's not Shemitah money. However, if he stipulated that it's pay, that this $1 is payment for the apple, then it's considered Shemitah money. But just for wages, just for work, just for paying him for his troubles, that's not considered Shemitah material. Amar Abai says you're right. What the Brisa meant was, so the grain fellow shows up in town, gives you a sack of grain, Shemitah material, you can pay him with Shemitah apples as well. And answer your question, how can you do that? You can't pay debts using Shemitah fruit. Or regarding your question, you meant to personally consume Shvius produce and not use it to pay your bills. The answer is, you're not going to give it to him as formal payment. You give it to him in a permissible way. Rashi says, matnas chinim, as a gift. Informally. Okay, thank you for the sack of grain. Oh, by the way, you want to share my apples with me? So as long as you're not stipulating that it's being provided as pay, that's legal. Because it's not as we find by Maser Sheni as well. So you separate the portion which is meant to be eaten in Yerushalayim. Reuben can't tell Shimon, who owns a truck, you know what, the sack of apples is quite heavy for me to transport to Yerushalayim, do me a favor, next time you drive up, Halali, Piris Halali Yerushalayim, please transport the sack of wheat to Yerushalayim. L'chalak, we'll divide it. I'll give you part as pay for your work. You can't do that because you may not pay your debts, your outstanding bills, using Maser Sheni material. It's meant for personal consumption. But if you don't stipulate it formally, you just, you can tell him, Halim, do me a favor, bring it up and we'll work it out. We'll share the food. Go up and we'll have a party together. That's okay. As long as they're giving it as a free gift, not as formal payment. Okay, so going to Abaye, when the Brisa speaks about Chamarin, whose schar is Shemitah, schar shvius, it's allowing us to pay them with Shemitah produce as long as it's not presented as official payment for the outstanding debts. Now comes Rava. Rava will seek to reconcile this Brisa with Rabbi Yechanan's statement, which was that we have twice a knas that the Chum established. One is by Yain Nesach, the wages are Asr, and one is by Chamarin, these grain dealers, that their pay also has restrictions. It sort of acquires the status of the produce that they are being paid for. Rava Amar, Lo'ilam de Kodesh B'Kedusha Shvius. So when the Brisa says Schar and Shvius, it means to say, as we thought initially, pay that they received for providing that Shemitah product becomes Kodesh. And that money has to be spent accordingly. It has to be spent before this Man Habir, while the animals still have access to this produce, to the Shemitah produce. That's what the Brisa meant. And that fits very well with Rabbi Yechanan, that the Chachamim applied a Knas and deemed Yain Nesach wages and Chamarin wages as though it would be the original item itself that they were getting paid for. So in the case of Yain Nesach, the wine is Asr, the pay is Asr. In the case of the Shemitah produce, has the status of Shemitah, and likewise the payment received. Oh, now let's go address your question from that Mishnah. Poyel, right? You asked the fellow to pick you an apple. There's no concern with the wages. Well, that's small change. Poyel, worker, Leinafash Agri, he's not getting paid much. It's not a very serious operation there. We're not concerned, did not make a knas. But Chamar and the Nafash Igrayu, the wholesalers, who are running a big operation, Nafash Igrayu, their pay is large and significant. In which case, Tesis says, it appears like they're engaging in a commercial arrangement. Looks like business. It's not just paying a fellow a couple of pennies for his troubles. You're big time. You're running an operation. You're getting paid big amounts. It looks like they're wheeling and dealing with Shemitah product. Konsu Rabbana Bahu Chacham made a knas that if you pay them for this product, it looks like schayra, like a commercial entity. In which case, the money becomes kodesh b'kedusha shvius. Okay, so that explains that. Now let's jump back for a second to our worker in the Mishnah, right? Who was hired to move around the Yain Nesach. His schar is asr. Hold it. He's not running a major operation. He's one guy alone, schlepping some barrels. Why does that trigger a knas? Umasnisim regarding our Mishnah. Chumra di Yain Nesach shani, because he's involved in Yain Nesach, which has Avodah Zarah connotations. We come down even harder on him. Keep far away from this material, and whatever you make on it is asr. Now the question is, we spoke about real Yain Nesach. What if he was hired to transport wine, stam yenan, tampered by a guy, touched by a guy, which is only also midrabanan? What's the status of his wages? Shall we say it's all the same thing? Given the Isurei Chomer Kidei Yain Nesach, just since we treat it in terms of its Isur like Yain Nesach, you can't drink it, you can't. Likewise, the wages are affected the same way. Schar nami Asur. Or you can say, if you recall back on Aflamed, the Gemara actually stipulated there are three levels. We have real Yain Nesach, which is Asr B'Achila and B'Hano, and also as Metame, it has a Tumah, as though it's a dead person, like a mace. And even a small part, a kazayas, is metame, the most severe tumah, as if it's part of a dead person. Whereas stam yenan, although in terms of eating and drinking and all that, it's the same isser, but in terms of tumah, it drops down a level. It's only usser, a lighter form of tameh, a lighter form of tumah, and you need a larger amount. So perhaps if it comes with respect to tumah, there's a distinction between the two types of wines. No, so perhaps regarding wages as well. We're not going to treat it the same way. Since regarding its tumah, it's lighter. Likewise, we can be lenient regarding the wages as well. So which way? Tashma, we have a right from a story. That Gavra, there was a fellow, the Agar Arbe, he rented out his little ship, little boat. L'stam yenan, for a guy to transport wine, which was stam yenan. No. And he got paid for the rental. They gave him wheat as payment for the rental. Can I use the wheat? Oslo came to Rav Chizdi, he says, no, get rid of it. Amalei zil kalinu, go first of all, burn them. And then bury the ashes. Apparently, wages earned through Yain Esach and Stam Yenam have the same status. Ask the Gemara, just as a side point, why do you have to go through all this trouble, burn it and then bury it? For Lamley, why can't you just tell him, Badrino, just go disperse it, throw it off the Empire State Building? That's what that call. The answer is people might find it and use it, not realizing that it's forbidden material. Okay, look, linu, l'durinu, so go burn it, but then disperse the ashes. Why have to trouble bury it? Dilma mazabel, the answer is, maybe use as fertilizer to fertilize somebody's field. Okay, so then just go bury it as is, unburnt. Why isn't that enough? Get it out of the way. I mean, like, tonight we have a Mishnah regarding the item used to execute a person in the bezin, which must be buried. We're going from a pasuk, so you just go bury it. They don't have to, first burn it and then bury it. Echad evish niskalbo, whether it's the stone used to stone the person, echad echin olav, or the post used to hang him, echad sayish nerba, or the sword used, echad sudash nechin by, or the material used to suffocate. Kulam nigbar imay, kulam nigbar imay. All these items used in the process of misas bezin have to be buried with the person. That's all you need. You don't have to go burn it. So why burn the wheat? Answer is, there's a difference. Hasam over there, the kokaver beidina, since they bury the person with this item in a special cemetery designated by the bezin for this purpose, so all know to keep away. Muchamilsa, it's pretty clear. Daruge bezin, these people killed by the bezin, and you don't touch any of those items. Hach, over here, if a person finds a cache of buried wheat, who knows? Maybe somebody stole it and buried it. He doesn't realize that it's asur. It's not. There's no indication. Eimer will think, upon discovering this treasure of wheat, well, Inish Ganav. Somebody stole the Inish Ganav. He stole the material. But I see Kabrach, and he went and buried it to hide it. So unless you burn it, you might run into some unexpected visitors. Okay, so in a nutshell, we have general isurei ana, like arlik la'akerim, although they're asa b'hana, but something received in exchange is not considered like the original item. They're not considered asa b'hana like the original, as opposed to Avodah Zarah and Shvius, which is teifes damav. But let's say it's just wages earned on account of involving himself with these materials. So that's mutar min Torah. However, there's a knas d'Rabbanan in certain cases, like the grain dealers on Shemitah, who are getting paid for their transporting the Shemitah product. Whereas if it's just a plain small-time fellow doing some picking for you, that's not considered asur, right? The reason is, Taisus explains, because these donkey drivers, these grain delivery men, are getting paid for their delivery. Since we're speaking about large amounts, large bills, it looks like if you pay them for it, it looks like you're doing schera with shvius produce, and therefore, in order to dissuade this, they consider that to be kaddish b'kedusha shvius. And likewise, by yain esach, even a small-time fellow, just a simple laborer, any earnings are considered asur because of the chumrah of yain esach. The Gemara concludes that the same would apply to stam yenam, and this was based on a story which Rav Chizda told him to safely dispose of his grain / payment that he received on account of that rental. Continue Be'ez Hashem, next piece tomorrow Be'ez Hashem. All the best to you and Atzlach.